That is properly annoying. So it's like a mouse farting continuously. Oh, it just stalled. Let's see if there's any fun stuff like rust holes or massive leaks, which I've had a lot of those recently.
Yeah, there could be.
Eaten wiring, I've had a lot of that recently. So I was saying that I'm kind of due for one not being a complete and total turd.
Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and this is my latest purchase, a 2007 Mercedes ML63, which was originally $70,000 new, that I bought for only $5,000. I had a viewer email me saying they are sick and tired of this thing. It has electrical problems, the battery drains overnight. I don't want it. That's the only reason I want to sell it. I don't want to mess with it anymore, and it's yours for the low price of $5,000, and I'm a total sucker, and I absolutely couldn't refuse because this thing is so cool. In the early and mid-2000s, there was an arms race when it came to performance SUVs, and it started with the ML55, 350 horsepower, which of course the X546 IS followed, and then the 48 IS, but then it was all dethroned by the Cayenne Turbo, which had 450 horsepower, came out in 2003. There was also the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, a lot of horsepower there, but then this smoked them all in 2007, a 503 horsepower V8 ML63 AMG that rocketed to 60 in 5 seconds or less and had all the luxury and comfort. Not only that, but it was way less than a Cayenne Turbo. So this thing totally smoked him. It was an amazing car in its day, but that was a very long time ago. We're talking 15 years ago. So I imagine it has a lot of issues, and that's why I got it so cheap. But when I look at it just here, it looks like it's aged really, really well. So maybe I got lucky. But before we find out if I'm making my own words, yeah, we have Hoovie's Garage merch, which is on HooviesGarage.com, including the GT350 shirts, the classic Hoovie Blue, and a few Superbird t-shirts left, among other things. Also, Hoovie's Garage stickers for only $5. You can show your Hoovie's Garage fandom and also hide things like if you have holes in your Porsche 911. Allow me to demonstrate. The previous owner had his family crest here or something at some point, so now that just completely goes away with a very nice Hoovie's Garage sticker. Only $5. Show me where you're putting your stickers. At me on Twitter, and I'll share it at the end of the video as well. Thank you. Now, I just had this thing delivered directly to the car wizard because I wasn't going to make the same mistake and go all the way to New York or cross country like I did with the E63 wagon. Same year, same engine, and then it broke down, well, a few hundred miles from home. Let's just ship it here and see what it is, see what's going on, and well, at first glance, it looks really, really good. Of course, the ML63 got these flared fenders, the big wheels, the big 6.3 badge, even though it's a 6.2 liter V8. And this one in tan or pewter actually looks really cool. I didn't think I'd like it, but in person, it does look very, very nice. Of course, the presence of this thing, very well styled SUV, all riding on air, so very adjustable, very nice in that sense. I haven't driven one in years though. You walk around this thing and it looks very nice. I barely see any scratches or dings or damage. It looks like a very well taken care of car, which is really hard to believe. I can't believe somebody would sell this thing to me for $5,000 and just give up. I mean, the seller, Alex, just said he was sick of it. Normally when people are sick of things, they're not treating them very well, but this one, very clean, new Continental tires. It's just nuts that I'm able to get something this special back in the day for this cheap. Of course, 503 horsepower seems mundane now, and all the technology in this car seems, well, it's commonplace. You'll find it on a base model Ford or Kia, but in its day, this thing was very, very nice. The perforated leather interior, you have adjustable seats. I don't think they're dynamic though, but they have air bladders inside. So some S-Class technology in here. You have the command navigation system, heated and cooled seats. 2 rows of seating. This one isn't a 3rd row, and you can see the seats all the way forward and this stuff taken apart to get to the battery under the seat, because every time I want to start this thing, I have to jump it off. But you have metal pedals. I mean, they tried to make these AMGs special, even though they're built in Alabama. And it's hard to call an SUV of this size any kind of performance vehicle, but actually, that's what we're used to now. There's so many performance SUVs nowadays, but this is one of the originals. This is the first, like, really impressive one that could beat, Porsche 911s from a few years earlier on the Nürburgring. A giant SUV like this. You see the AMG badge in the cluster, special gauges. And just like the outside, the interior is in very, very nice shape. The leather, the headliner, even a little bit of suede here hasn't gotten all nasty. So I'm actually getting some good vibes from this thing. I've only driven it around the parking lot so far, so we can take it out on its first maiden voyage, and then we'll have the car wizard look this thing over. Let me get this battery going. Oh, we have life.
We have lots of life. Wowza, okay. 174,000 miles. And starts right up. Give it a battery light, which is normal. Check engine lights, which is normal in these cars. Even has an almost full tank of gas. Something whistling. Yeah, definitely a whistling noise, but not bad. What the heck? Huh. All right. Well, let's take this thing for a spin, huh? Saying the hatch is open. Well, fix that. Surely it's not doing it just because of a hatch. Couldn't get the hatch to pop at the moment, so that's one thing. But otherwise, we're off. Whoa. Okay, just had a massive brain fart where it revved and then gave an ESP light, but I mean, this is all maybe low battery stuff. All right, we're now in the 55 zone. I can hit it a little bit here. Jeez. That engine is healthy. Very healthy. Wow. Okay. There's definitely little scary moments though as it bucks every once in a while and the lights go dim. But once again, that could just be the fact that the battery's completely dead. Huh. I may have just hit a home run here. I'm overdue for a car not being a complete pile of junk when it shows up, so, you know, so it's kind of like a blind squirrel finding a nut every once in a while. I got a good one. All right, well, let's turn around and head back to the Car Wizards and see what he thinks of this thing. Maybe he has some ideas on what is causing the electrical drain. I don't see anything obvious. A little bit of off-roading here. Oh, it's even got the tricorder Bluetooth in it. Look at that. Wowza. All right. Wizard! This thing runs great.
It's a 6.3 AMG.
It runs really good.
Where'd you get it?
It was just a viewer that got tired of dealing with this thing, said the battery would go dead on it. I mean, you saw it, it got delivered, it looks nice.
Yeah.
It actually jumped off and drove just fine. There's a little electrical thing, you know, that pops up, maybe because the battery's stone dead, but apparently something drains the battery on this car overnight, and that's the only reason why he got rid of it. No other problems, that's the only reason, which is very hard to believe.
Hey, whatever. It's a score for you.
Well,
we don't know that
yeah,
yet.
we'll see. Let's go here. Yeah, try to get the hatch. I couldn't get it opened. With your jumper, we have electrical now. See if this hatch does what it's supposed to do.
No?
Nothing.
Nothing, honey.
Is that what was draining the battery?
It could be.
Is a screwed up hatch?
It's not seeing that it's closed, and I don't know.
So Mercedes is kind of notorious for this kind of stuff. Like in their early mid-2000s, there'd be stuff like a seat control module would just start messing up, and then it would drain your battery overnight. So people would have to adjust their seats and then unhook the modules, either that or spend like $500–600 for a module. And now here in 2007 or whatever, it's, you know, tons of modules for every single little thing on this car that could cause a battery to drain. So how would you go about diagnosing something like that?
You use the fuse box and you put an amp meter between one of the terminals and the battery, and you see that there's a constant draw, and you just start pulling fuses until that draw goes away. And then you found the circuit where the draw is at.
Kind of time consuming.
It can take hours.
Not very exciting to video, obviously. So
No.
we're not going to do that. You can
No.
you can do that on your own time. But let's see if there's any fun stuff like rust holes or massive leaks, which I've had a lot of those recently.
Yeah, there could be.
Eaten wiring. I've had a lot of that recently. So I was saying that I'm kind of due for one not being a complete and total turd. So maybe this is it.
Cross the fingers.
Maybe. All right, quick peekaboo before we go up.
Peekaboo, peekaboo.
Beautiful 6.2 liter V8 built by Who is it? Is it Sasha?
Sasha Grimes.
Sasha did a good job. 175,000 miles, and the head bolts haven't gone on this thing, which is a common thing on the 2007, 2008 this engine, which this seems fine.
You can see the valve cover gaskets are leaking all the way around, just brown. I wonder if there's leaking down the bottom of the engine. Probably so.
Yeah, but otherwise, pretty darn nice.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one thing though. Yes, I can hear it much better. That is properly annoying.
Could be one of these solenoids or an intake gasket. Something in here is making that noise with the vacuum leak.
Lots and lots of vacuum lines. Probably not a big deal.
Not a big deal. It's just annoying noise.
Hey. Anyway, the tune changed a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
So it's like a mouse farting continuously. Oh, it just stalled.
All I did was the power steering cap and it stalled.
Needs a battery.
Yes.
Badly.
True.
All right, well, let's go up. Really nice for 175,000 miles.
Wow, it really is.
Clean. Only $5,000.
$5 grand?
$5,000.
It's not leaving the shop.
Why?
I'm gonna buy it.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I have the Range Rover and I love it. A little more horsepower on this, the supercharger, but these were the bee's knees back in the day. I could not turn this down for $5,000, even though sight unseen. And so far, I mean, cosmetically, glorious. The engine transmission seemed to shift great, so.
You could donate it to Split Thumb over there.
Thumbs up. Well, one thing I noticed on the way up is the R-Knot replacement air shocks on the front there, which is a good thing.
That's a very good thing.
But still, if this was going to be your only car, and say even a Range Rover, any of these air ride SUVs, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you could really trust them to take out of town, because if an air ride shock blows, which they do all the time on these things, you're on the side of the road, you're stranded, you're stuck.
You're done.
And it's just not worth it on a vehicle this old, so there's other alternatives, you know, GMT 800 Escalade, something like that. Things go wrong, you can still drive it. They'll drive broken. These don't drive that well broken like the older BMWs and Mercedes or, you know, modern American cars do.
They can also embarrass you, like in the Starbucks drive-thru, there's an error and it'll deflate itself.
Right.
You're like, oh great, thanks.
But still, for $5,000, I could not turn this down, and
Let's take a look.
I'm already impressed.
Brakes look good. I don't see anything wet or leaking over here. There wouldn't be any wet. I won't say that.
But the brakes are massive.
Yeah, they're like dinner plates.
Holy crap. I mean, just huge. And I got this thing from the Rust Belt, you know, salty area, but this thing does not look like it.
There's a little seepage here. It's coming from up above, though. It's not the oil pan. A little drive shaft there. It's short and stubby.
Short and stubby, but doing the job.
Yeah.
Very, very not rusty underneath.
It's not rusty. It's not wheelie really at all either.
No, suspension felt pretty tight on the drive too, so.
Here's the hidden shaft.
Yes.
Everything looks good there.
Cool dual exhaust. Going back to a very clean rear end.
Yes.
Wow.
Very clean. Brakes are half on, but they're still good. No CV boots leaking. Air springs are good. Wow. I think you pulled a Euro-Asian Bob on this one.
What does that mean?
You actually found something really special and really nice and came out ahead on it.
He's very good at that.
He is.
He's been doing it for longer than I've been alive, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Versus me just taking people's turds, but it turns out this wasn't a turd, so I very appreciate the viewer that sold me this. That was nice, but you do have to dig into the electrical issue.
Yes.
And that will take some time and some money. I mean, the valve cover gaskets, that's a less than $1,000 job, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah, way less.
Way less. So that's it. I fixed the battery drain in one leak, and I have a completely usable car.
A fast usable car. Tyler wins.
I don't know what to do with this.
You actually scored this time.
This is great for me, but probably bad for you guys because you're hoping for me getting just walloped again. And you want me to get walloped too.
Oh yes.
You like?
I need boat gas money for my yacht.
Thank you for watching. Hey, gonna pull this thing out.
Did you give it some Viagra?
It popped.
It did.
It's popped. Now close, you. Close. Close.
It refuses to. It just sprung itself open.
It's
What the heck?
it's a little confused. I mean, who knows if a battery will fix these things?
It could, but very likely not.